Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to discuss which one is better for you and your circumstances. Is it going to be an all-in-one power station or is it going to be a DIY build? So let's get into the pricing and the abilities of both options. First I want to talk about the all-in-one power station. Now for this example I am using the OUPES Exodus 1200. And this is a mid-range power station. It's very portable and it's meant for just being able to back up your critical devices for either a few hours or up to 24 hours depending on what you're trying to power. Let me just tell you right up front that the price for the OUPES right now on Amazon is $360. Now it says regularly $499, but it's on sale for $360. And I don't know if those prices will really change too much. But what this has to offer is it has a 992 watt-hour battery inside. It also has an AC inverter that can do up to 1200 watts continuous at 120 volts. And it can also actually boost that a little bit by lowering the voltage. I think it goes up to either 1400 or 1500 watts. It also does have a nice display so you can see exactly what's going on. It has USB-A and USB-C ports, and also it can connect to your phone so you can actually control and monitor things wirelessly. On the DC side, it does have a 12-volt cigarette lighter port and two 5521 barrel ports. On this side, it does have the option to be able to charge from a solar panel, but it is only a barrel port and it supports from 12 volts to 30 volts. So the maximum you're going to be able to charge with is around 200 watts of solar. But it also has your AC plug so you can plug it right into your wall, and it does have a protection circuit fuse right here, so if something goes wrong with your AC plug, it's protected. Alright, so for everything that you get with this unit, $360 is a pretty good price. And also when it comes to recharging this unit, it can go from 0 to 80% in about 2 hours, and it can charge up all the way from 0 to 100% in roughly 3 hours. Now let's talk about your beginner level DIY build. Now I say beginner level because when I was a beginner, I started with one battery and it was 12 volts and I had an inverter, a solar charge controller, and a way to charge it up from my wall. So, and this was meant to just really run my sub pump when the lights went out. But to my understanding, all of this right here is exactly what you would need to get the same amount of options and abilities and power from the OUPES back here. First, you would need a battery, and I highly recommend you start with a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate 12 volt battery. This will give you 1280 watt hours of electricity, opposed to the 992 that the OUPES comes with. So right off the bat, you get a little bit more energy when you buy your own battery. Alright, so how much does a battery like this cost? Well, if you're just talking about a battery that doesn't have very many bells and whistles, doesn't have the Bluetooth features, doesn't have the heating elements inside the battery, you can get them for as low as $150 right now. Or you can get ones that have heating elements, Bluetooth, you can get ones that have a higher amperage surge, and they roughly cost about $250. Alright, secondly, you would want to buy equipment that can pull electricity from the battery. Now for the AC side, I chose this Ampeak 1200 watt inverter right here because it matches the 1200 watt rating of the OUPES. This one's a pure sine wave just like the OUPES, so I chose that and it costs about $150. Now if you go on Amazon and just look for the cheapest 1200 watt inverter, and it will be a modified sine wave inverter, you can get that for like $50. So that's always an option also. And then when it comes to powering your DC equipment, you can easily buy one of these small little ports right here with a switch and a USB port and a USB-C port and your 12 volt cigarette lighter. It has all the wiring and it is fused, and you can get these for like 20 bucks. And with your AC inverter, I want to make sure that you know that almost every single inverter I've ever tested comes with their own cabling to connect to a battery. Now, a lot of people say don't use that cabling because it's garbage, but that cabling is really meant for like a starter package where it's not supposed to handle the full capacity of the inverter. It's supposed to handle, your everyday uses for that inverter. So, 600-700 watts, or if you buy a 2,000 watt inverter, I always say you can use that cabling as long as you're only planning on powering 1,000 watts. So what about building something like this and being able to charge it from either AC or from the sun? So to charge it up AC style, you'll want to get a lithium iron phosphate charger. Now, I would recommend that you can get like one of those all-in-one smart ones so you can charge up your lithium batteries and also like your lead acid batteries and all types of batteries. But I found out that if you have a lithium iron phosphate battery, it's best to just buy a lithium iron phosphate charger. Now that charger from LiTime, it's a 20 amp charger and it goes for about $110 right now on Amazon. Now that means that it's a 20 amp charger and this is a 100 amp hour battery, so it will take roughly 5 hours to charge this battery from 0 to full. Now you can go ahead and get a 50 amp charger because this battery can handle a 50 amp charger, and those chargers run for about $150. If you want to keep the same specs as this OUPES, I would go for that 50 amp hour charger. So that way you could charge your battery up in around 2 hours. All right, what about charging from the sun? Now that's when you need a solar charge controller, and I have a couple of varieties here. I have a PWM charger that's going to be a 30 amp charger, and it goes for literally like $15 to $20. And it's this guy right here. Now, this thing is cheap plastic, and the ports on the bottom are really small. It looks like they might be able to fit 10 gauge cable, but they're really made for like 12 to 14 gauge cable. It does have a couple of USB-A's on the front, but I would never use those. And the thing in general is just very cheaply made, but it works. It will give you what you need to plug in a solar panel and put it onto your battery, and it will actually charge your battery. But if you want to go for the types of solar charge controllers that will last for years and years and years and have a lot of options and features and abilities, I would say you definitely want to go with the Victron solar charge controllers. My first build, I bought one of these, and the best part about it is that you can buy a second one and you can communicate between the two. But these things are pricey. This one literally goes for like what I say, I don't know, between $10 and $20. This one goes for about 10 times that. It goes for about $120. And then last but not least is all of the tools and the wiring that you're gonna need in order to hook everything up. You're also gonna need your ring terminal connectors and stuff like that. All right, so which one is right for you? Now, when it comes to portability, there's a clear winner. It's the OUPES 1200. The portable power station. It has a handle on it, and then everything is just built right in, and it will power your AC, your DC devices. You can charge it from the wall, or you can charge it from solar, or you can even charge it from your car if you have the 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter that comes with it. The downfall with this all-in-one unit is the fact that it's an all-in-one unit. You buy this, there's no option to upgrade really at all. You might be able to kind of figure out a way of being able to plug in another battery or something like that, but it definitely has its limitations. When it comes to solar, it's only limited to like 200 watts of solar. The inverter, if you want more power out of it, you're kind of out of luck. Now, when it comes to the DIY build, first of all, really no portability. Unless you build the whole thing on like a 2-wheel rack or something like that, like build it all onto like a piece of board, it can be somewhat portable, but it's not as portable as just grabbing a handle of a box type unit and carrying it off. And there's a lot of pieces that go along with it. You have to kind of know what you're doing. You have to know negatives and positives, and you have to know the types of wiring that you should use. You can't just go and buy speaker wire and connect up your battery to your inverter. That is dangerous. So you have to have at least a beginner's level of the understanding of electricity in order to build something like this. The feeling of accomplishment when you do learn all that stuff and you do build it and it starts working, man, that is priceless. I gotta tell you what. Another great thing about this is it is expandable and fixable, you could say. If the OUPES breaks, you're kind of out of luck. But with this, if your inverter burns up, you can buy another one, take this one off, put that one on, and you're good to go again. If you want to have more ports, you can just buy another one of these and just wire it right up. It's very expandable, and if something breaks, you can easily fix it. Now, what about the price difference between these two? I mean, I already said that the OUPES goes for $360 right now. So if I had to take all of this stuff and add it all up, would it be even close to just buying a portable power station? Would it be a lot cheaper, or would it be a lot more expensive? So let's kind of look into the numbers. All right, like I said before, the OUPES Exodus 1200, it goes for roughly $360. Now, if we're gonna build this same thing out of all the DIY parts I talked about, here is our list. Now, starting with the battery, you can get a very budget-friendly battery for $150, and that is a 100 amp hour 12-volt lithium iron phosphate battery. But it doesn't include things like being able to heat itself or having Bluetooth capabilities. For those, you're going to be looking at more around $250 for those additional features and for a brand name that you might trust more. Now, when it comes to the solar charge controllers, you can buy a super cheap PWM solar charge controller that can deliver 30 amps of charge and have its limits at 100 volts of solar for like 12 bucks. And that has the ability to be able to work with up to 400 watts of solar, which is double what the OUPES can actually handle. Or for $120, you can get a Victron solar charge controller that is 30 amps and has a 100 volt max, but the build quality is superior and it will last you for years. That's on top of the ability to be able to kind of monitor your solar production. Now, when it comes to the inverter, you can get a 1200 watt modified sine wave inverter that's mainly made for cars for $45 on Amazon right now, but it will work. Or you can get a pure sine wave inverter for roughly $150 for a 1200 watt variety. When it comes to battery chargers that you plug into your wall, you can get that LiTime 20 amp charger for roughly $110, or you can get a 50 amp lithium iron phosphate charger that is kind of off-brand, but those run for about $150. When it came to the expandable DC ports to be able to put on your battery, those usually cost about $20, and that will give you a 12-volt cigarette lighter, and it will give you a couple of USB-A or USB-C ports. And again, you could put multiple DC ports on the same battery with no issues. When it comes to wiring and tools, I figured that you would go bare bones on your wiring and tools. You would get the wiring that you need and the minimum amount of tools needed to be able to work with that wiring and those connectors. So I'm guessing right around $50 for the wiring and tools. So if you add all of this up, on the budget side, I'm looking at $387. Now that is actually $27 over the cost of the OUPES. So there is really no cost savings at all anymore when it comes to building your own 12-volt system or just buying a power station. And if you go for the premium side, you're looking at $740. And this is just for a premium battery. The inverter, that's still 1200 watts, but it can handle pure sine wave. You're looking at a very nice solar charge controller, but all of that is going to cost money. $740, that is $380 more than the OUPES. So you could actually buy 2 portable power stations for the price of this. So which option is really better? DIY or just buying a portable power station? I mean, that's really up to you. Do you want to just quickly go out and have power? Or do you want to be able to build something yourself and expand on it whenever you have the money and time? If something breaks, you can fix it. Something on here breaks, you're kind of out of luck. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to all of these items in my description, just in case you want to look further into them. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day. Bye-bye.